All right, a happy Saturday. If you're wondering why I look like an Eskimo, it is because I'm in Lake Tahoe, California, doing a little bit of skiing. We've got a trade, about to get on the mountain, and we've got a trade, a rarity. We don't see December trades happen, but we do. I am so hot right now. I have so many layers on. I am like ridiculous, but we're going to power through here. So we've got a New York-Toronto trade, 5 players involved, certainly OG, and Anunoby, RJ Barrett, Immanuel Quickley is kind of the headliners here. We're going to go through kind of the contracts, the semantics here, roster impact. I think for me, looking at it, my big question for New York was, could RJ Barrett be your third guy on a championship roster? I don't think so. I think the body of work last year, and I think the body of work this year. I think Julius Randle, can he be a number 2 guy on a championship roster? That's to be seen. Certainly, we know the body of work in Jalen Brunson as far as what he's been able to do. I think for Toronto, they've kind of, dug their heels in a little bit over the past few years, reluctant to move off this roster. 12-19, 31 games in, and Anunoby likely is going to be a free agent. We'll see what happens with Pascal Siakam. Here are the semantics as far as how this deal works and everything. And for Anunoby, under contract for this year for $18.6 million. Got a player option for $19.9 million. Likelihood is that he is going to be an unrestricted free agent. That's the risk for if you are New York, but you get him for 6 months. You can basically actively in-house recruit him. He is extension eligible from now until June 29th for 2 years, $40 million. I do not think that is going to happen. He is extension eligible on June 30th, the last day before free agency begins, for 4 years, $117 million. The strong likelihood is that he is going to become an unrestricted free agent. Who are the teams that have cap space? Certainly New York, Oklahoma City, the Pistons, Orlando. I'm counting about 10 teams that will have cap space. His bird rights transfer in the deal, so New York can exceed the cap to re-sign him here. He is a defensive specialist. He certainly fits into the mold of Tom Thibodeau. Now you can roll out with Brunson. I was going to say Quickley. They're going to need some guards here. You've got Anunoby. You've got DiVincenzo. You still have Grimes. Did not cost you a first-round pick in the deal. You sent out a second. That was the Pistons deal here. I like Precious Achiuwa. I think he's been better than Jakob Poeltl this year in Toronto. He was really good for the Raptors last year before the Poeltl trade. Then his minutes came down. He fills a big for New York, certainly with the Mitchell Robinson injury, the Jericho Sims injury. You basically Isaiah Hartenstein at center, Taj Gibson filling in that role. He comes in here. He's on a salary of $4.4 million. He is a restricted free agent. He will be a restricted free agent if you send him a qualifying offer. That is likely the case. Certainly Malachi Flynn. That's more of it to get Toronto under the luxury tax. They were about $1.7 million if they did not include Flynn in the deal. $3.9 million, give New York another guard. Former first-round pick, has been more down than up during his 4 seasons. Former first-round pick here. I don't know yet as far as who New York is going to waive, but when you do a 3-for-2 trade and you have 3 players coming in and you already had 15 players on the roster, I would say the likelihood is Daquan Jeffries would be going out. Financially, New York creates a $5.2 million trade exception in the deal. You are well positioned under the luxury tax, about $4 million, maybe a little bit more after one of the players gets waived. You're below the apron, which is the hard cap, first apron, at $8.7 million. Which is interesting is that RJ Barrett had unlikely bonuses that counted toward the apron. That goes now off to Toronto. So now you have some more flexibility under that hard cap here. I'm projecting New York is going to be somewhere around $5 million under the luxury tax. So we will see as far as you still have all your kitty of first-round picks. You've got all your own. You've got that Dallas first. You've got a first from Milwaukee in 2025. You've got a Pistons first. You've got a Washington first. Those 2 picks, the Wizards pick and the Pistons pick 25 cents on a dollar first-round picks. I don't count them as true value first-round picks because of the protection that's on there. So you've got to figure out, you lose Quickley, which is a sixth man of the year. Who is going to be your lead guard coming off the bench now? You're left with, certainly, do we see more Evan Fournier? Keep an eye out for him from a trade standpoint. $18.8 million. He's got a team option for next year. Certainly, you still have Josh Hart, but who is your, Anunoby is a defensive specialist. He is not a perimeter three-point shooter here. He will improve your team defensively. And then what is your cost going to, in order to keep him? Remember, Brunson's extension eligible in the offseason also. Are you willing to pay max numbers for him, which is going to be north of $200 million? But as we said, you actively get to in-house recruit him. Now, let's look at it a little bit from the perspective of, well, first of all, from a trade standpoint. So you've got Barrett going out with Quickley, 23.8, 4.1. You have the $7.5 million allowance that you're allowed to use in the deal. When you look at what the money coming in from Toronto with Anunoby, Flynn, Achiuwa, that's $27 million. It basically kind of matches up a little bit there. But you have that $7.5 million trade allowance that makes the money work. From Toronto's perspective, Siakam is going to be the wild card. You still have to figure out if he is a keeper moving forward. Barrett is under contract 23.8, 25.8, 27.7, 29.6. He's got a ton of unlikely bonuses in his deal. Let's see if we can pull these up here without screwing up this video. Dude, sorry. Now, my question for Barrett in Toronto, certainly Canadian going home, is there more pressure or is there a sense of relief getting out of New York as far as being the guy here? That is a little bit as far as a question. Fourth player on a really good team. Third player on a championship-worthy team. He's a solid role player, starter that has been up and down this year. Certainly the last 15 games, he has struggled here. But here is Barrett's bonuses here. He's got bonuses for All-NBA, All-Star, All-Defense. Unlikely going to hit those, close to $3 million, 3 sets of tiers. New York gets Quickley in a deal. Toronto gets Quickley in a deal. I'm sorry, I'm rushing around here. Quickly in a deal, restricted free agent, like Achiuwa, is got a expiring $4.2 million contract. As far as a guy that can come off your bench or even start, can make shots, something this Toronto team lacked as far as from a perimeter standpoint. You get that for me, that's kind of the marquee guy in the deal. Certainly Barrett, that big wing. That certainly could defend, can make shots, but he's been so up and down here. Quickly, let's pull up Quickley real quick here. Listen, 15 points, 45-4, 39-5 from 3 in 24 minutes. Possible before this trade, sixth man of the year candidate here. I like it for both teams. I saw Bill Simmons tweet me. I like it for both teams as far as both teams trying to figure out, 5 weeks before the deadline where they are. For Toronto, it's going to have to be what you do with Siakam next. You cannot let him get to unrestricted free agency without either extending him or finding a new home. So a little bit of a deal recap here. Both deals work within the $7.5 million trade allowance. New York creates a $5.2 million trade exception in the deal. Toronto is below the luxury tax by $1.95 million. They are below the apron by, we got to put that Barrett number in, roughly $1.9 million, roughly. So both teams, from a financial perspective, are in good shape. Toronto can go out and sign another player. They can, certainly, and stay below that luxury tax. So the big thing is Quickley goes to Toronto, restricted free agent. Barrett's got 4 years left on his contract. the comfort level of paying Anunoby big money when the likelihood is that he is going to opt out of that contract if there's not an extension on June 30th. Achiuwa gives New York a big. Flynn is kind of just a salary filler, basically kind of getting rid of that money from Toronto to stay under the luxury tax. So there you have it. 10 minutes. I am sweating my you-know-what right now. I'm going to go on the slopes. Hopefully everyone has a happy Saturday, and we will talk soon.